Now, staying with that, joining us is Chad Thomas, who is a crime expert at the IRS Forensic Investigations. A very good evening to you, Chad. A decrease in our national murder rate during that period, almost 10%. The Police Minister, Newzroom Afrika saying that these stats show a significant shift in our national crime landscape. Is there a shift?
Massive good evening to you and to the viewers. Look, a 9.8% reduction, close to 10% in murder year on year for that particular quarter is a phenomenal statistic. If we could keep and maintain reducing these type of contact crimes, we would go a far way in being able to bring safety to the citizenry of South Africa. But it's far from good enough. We're still looking at over 70 murders a day. South Africa still suffers from one of the highest rates of murder per capita in the world, and it's something that seriously needs to be addressed. However, that being said, the fact that we've seen this reduction is showing the fact that the criminals may not be as emboldened as they were, and we are definitely seeing that the police are taking the fight to the criminals.
What can we attribute this to as well, Chad? Because clearly there is this marginal shift that's happening. Is it because criminals are being deterred by seeing others getting arrested? For those facing the dynamics and impacts of crime on a daily basis, it may not feel like there's an actual shift. But is it because that they're seeing more people getting prosecuted? What is the actual deterrence? Or perhaps that the police are really, really buckling down as hard as they can?
There seems to be a mind shift in the way in which the police are conducting operations. I attribute this in part to the minister. We have an incredible minister. Mr. Mkhunu is saying the right things. He's doing the right things. He's putting his money where his mouth is when it comes to promising certain things in respect of delivery. And his support is absolutely phenomenal towards the police officers on the ground. We also then see successes in respect of our provincial commissioners. In the Western Cape, we've got General Patikile. In Gauteng, we've got General Mtobeni, and of course, we've got General Kwanazi in KZN. And they have shown that they are prepared to take this fight to criminals. Prosecutions are nowhere near where they should be. We don't have the kind of conviction rates that we should be having. In fact, they are at an all-time low. So I think that the fact that the criminals are becoming less emboldened could be as a result of the actions they're seeing by the police, and that the police are literally fighting fire with fire, as we've seen predominantly in KZN, also in the Western Cape, and more recently in Gauteng as well.
And those three provinces that you're mentioning now as well were part of what the minister called our albatross, obviously our problematic problems that contribute to, particularly when it comes to the murder rate as well. So that is KZN, Gauteng, the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape. He attributed that to those being the provinces that have bigger metros, obviously. What more should be done when it comes to policing in not necessarily only rural areas, but specifically for the metros?
Look, we have a legacy of planning in respect of the way our cities are laid out that has created a situation through urbanization that our cities are basically out of control. If you take the Cape Town City Bowl as an example, it's one of the few metros that has survived the degradation that we've seen in the Johannesburg CBD, the Durban CBD, places like Mandela Bay, and Umtata and other densely populated areas. But of course, policing across the board cannot just concentrate on specific crimes and use the Band-Aid approach of going into one area, trying to saturate that area, reduce crime, and then move to the next area. It has to be a holistic approach. It has to be the entire criminal justice cluster that looks at this. We need effective policing, we need effective investigations, we need successful prosecutions, and we need a correctional services that's capacitated. Right now, we're lacking in so many of those areas that need to be addressed.
Now, Chad, finally, before I let you go, have to obviously talk about the fight against gender-based violence. When we're looking at today's stats that were released, we're seeing some significant shifts in some parts when it comes to murder. But when it comes to sexual assault and rape, there seems to not be that shift happening that side. And for years, the police have said they're going to prioritize these kinds of crimes, but we're not seeing that dent. How come?
So overall, we've seen a reduction of just over 3% from a countrywide perspective in respect of rape cases. However, we have seen an increase in attempted murders, specifically of women, and that would contribute towards gender-based violence and, of course, the involvement of partners or ex-partners. And it's an issue that really, really needs to be addressed. South Africa has had a problem with GBV, with femicide, with rape, as well as with child abuse for a long time now. And when one looks at the capacity and the resources with units like the Sexual Violence and Family Offences Unit, they don't have as much resources as they should have. We need more detectives, and we need more specialized prosecutors and more specialized courts. Once we send out that strong message that this is not going to be tolerated and the communities stand hand in hand with the police, we will see a decrease in this.
Well, hopefully that does happen pretty sooner than later. Thank you so much for your insights and joining us this evening. That's Chad Thomas, who's a crime expert from the IRS Forensic Investigations.